All right, guys, welcome. Commissioner's Corner, 8th Man Radio. We're no longer in our beautiful studios in Southern California. 'Tis the time of year to get the hell out of Dodge, right?
He's never been out of Dodge.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not Skyping in today.
I don't recognize you without a metal contraption around your head.
That's right.
In case you're wondering where we are at Salty's on Alki Beach. I've been saying it wrong this
Not
whole
Alki
trip.
Beach.
No,
We do have our
Alki
beer,
Beach,
Yep.
Salty's. If you haven't been here, I mean, we haven't gotten into the food just yet, but it looks amazing.
I'm going to go ahead and try one of these.
There
French
you go.
fries.
Oh, the tater tot here.
I have gotten into the IPAs, go figure.
There you
No
go.
food, just straight to the IPA. And then the scenery here. I mean, can we ask for a better backdrop here in Seattle? You got downtown here over my left shoulder. You've got the Space Needle back here. And then you got Quest Field. I think it's called something else now, where the Seahawks play. So an incredible scene here. If you haven't been to Seattle, you got to make it out here, enjoy the food, some of the libations. And boy, do we have a weekend. And we're going to have a lot of guests. This is a full show. We've got, we try to get some of the Chicago folks on board. They're not going to be here till Saturday. So we've got Seattle. We've got head coach Chris Michelson. We've got Danica Brace on. And then surprisingly enough, we had some international folks with bad passports pop in on us. We've got representative from Australia with head coach Daryl Scraff of the Adelaide Arsenal. He's going to talk about some breaking news in Australia. And then we have Audrey and Marcus from Ball Hawks Nest, who are based in the UK. Great coverage of the LFL all season, so we'll talk to those guys as well. But, wow, let's get right into segment one here. First off, Seattle. You know, a lot of people, I got the question, why Seattle? You guys have been in Vegas for the Legends Cup. You've been in LA. You've been in Miami. Why Seattle? And I say you've not been to Seattle. Seattle's an amazing city. Just the downtown, the atmosphere. Hell, they even brought in sunshine for us this weekend. It's coming through now.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't go away, but
About 10 minutes, it should be nice and sunny.
Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I found an awesome spot down in Kirkland.
Yep.
Right, Houghton Beach Park or something. And, people are out there paddle boarding. It was just awesome. So it's a great city if you can get out. If you haven't been out to it, obviously an incredible sports town as well. And we're here for the Legends Cup. If you haven't seen the hardware, here she is. A beautiful piece of work. One of the two teams, Seattle or Chicago, are going to walk away with this thing Sunday night. And we've got a full weekend. Talk to us about what's going on this weekend, Colton.
Yeah, this weekend, big schedule of events. Anything from, we're starting out, we've got the Media Day tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we've got LFL Awards, the Hall of Fame induction. We've got the Legends Cup, 3 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. And then the Legends Cup after party. So big weekend full of events.
Yeah. It's going to be a big weekend for us to kind of keep track, too. For those fans that want all the footage from this weekend, we've set up a channel, LFL Films has. If you go to lflus.com/live, LIVE, you can stay in touch. The show, Commissioner's Corner, is obviously streaming there. So you guys can stay in touch all weekend that way. And these hats are pretty snazzy, too. Got a Floyd Mayweather type feel.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just champ. That's all it says.
So Eastern and Western playoffs. We said they would be classic games. One turned that way. The other one was an absolute mystery of how it turned that way. The West, first off, was an instant classic. And I don't think you can say that enough. To see Danica Brace, in essence, win the game for them, and LAB right on the doorstep, if it weren't for that last-second fumble by Scary Shariawaga, that is what the stuff of Legends is. That's what playoff football is. What were your impressions of that game?
Yeah, really 3 big moments in that game. And the first was right before halftime. LA had scored. Seattle takes over from their 15, 25 seconds left. And they drove right down the field. KK had 2 rushes on that drive. Calling timeouts, getting out of bounds.
That's what impressed me. That was John Elway-esque.
Absolutely.
To go down the field. I thought that touchdown before the half was absolutely the deciding factor. With 25 seconds left, 2 timeouts. She drove the length of the field, ran out of bounds when she had to, kept her head in the game.
Scored with no time on the clock. Just a strike she threw. She put it where only Bryn Renda could catch the ball. She made the catch. It was reviewed.
And only Bryn Renda can catch that ball, too.
Exactly.
Why does every one of her catches get challenged? She always ends up with a challenge flag on every
time.
reception.
That was
It never
that was the
fails.
first of 2 challenged in that game too.
Now let's talk Eastern Conference. This is something that was baffling
Do we
because
want to talk East?
I'd like to glance on
Yeah.
it. The score was very indicative of the game. I've never seen a more flat playoff team in my life. Of all the hype that those both games received, and Atlanta to have played close to Chicago all season and be competitive with them and have so much game film on Chicago, to come out and lay an egg the way they did was absolutely embarrassing.
Just
Take it, gentlemen.
just couldn't get anything going. The Atlanta passing game, especially the first half, nothing. I don't think they completed 1 pass in the first half. Really, all of their offense was from penalties that Chicago made. They had maybe 70 yards of offense and 106 yards were from penalties. So
Yeah.
really,
Well, I mean, I think it comes out of this. I told Dane Robinson after the game, where the hell is your blocking? I mean, they have nobody on their O-line to block, nobody to open up the gaps. And when you have a small back like Nas Johnson, Jesse Locklear, I don't even think Jane Caldwell ran the ball. in that game.
couple rushes.
She get
But-
touches?
Yeah.
It's like you got to open lanes for these small running backs. Otherwise, you're not going to get the quick 5-6 yards. They didn't move the chains at all that game.
Yeah.
So
They
that
even
was the
had
biggest
Leanne
struggle, I
Harden
thought.
running the ball just to try to get something going. I mean, their offense was not the Atlanta offense we saw this year.
No, it was inept. It was inept, and the scheme was inept. Everything about it, I thought, was horrible. I thought the coaches were outcoached by Chicago in a big-time way, and I thought the players were obviously outplayed. They were out-physicaled. They don't have a good running back on that roster. I've said it before. I love Nas Johnson. I love Jesse Locklear. They are third-down backs. They
Yeah.
are not every down backs. Every down backs is a Stevie Schnorr, is a Christelle Harris.
Carmen Borso.
Carmen Borso. They need to find that in the offseason. And then more importantly, they need to look within and say, are we football players? Because I see a lot of Facebook football players on that team. I don't see when the lights come on, I'm going to get after you type football players. There's a handful, and they were imported. Outside of that, they're going to have a tough offseason.
Yeah.
They've got to rebuild. So those are your playoffs. Now, on to something a little more pleasant. The Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
This is our second class. The first one, obviously, Monique Gaxiola was wearing the jacket in Los Angeles last year. And this year, we've got the best nominee groups that we've ever had, I think. Who we've got? We've got
For the nominees,
Lauren Ziegler, Ashley Salerno,
Jessica Hopkins of Seattle.
Jessica Hopkins, and Liz Gorman. And our winner, our 2015 inductee, is the one, the only, Liz Gorman. So,
There you go, everyone.
Yeah.
yeah, this is where a studio audience would come in key, huh?
Yeah. Well,
That's right. Everyone clap for us.
So, I couldn't be more happy for her. Look, any one of them would have deserved it. I think we said a couple weeks ago on this very show that any one of those 4 nominees could have been inducted this year. You could make an argument for any of them. But Liz is, she is the epitome of what the sport was early on. And, she's ecstatic. I got a chance to tell her about it this morning. I talked to her, and obviously she's on cloud 9. She's on a plane headed to Seattle to celebrate. Just a fun weekend. It's good to see some of those throwback players come back and still have such a huge recognition in the league.
Now, I was talking to Liz yesterday. She actually told me something I didn't know, that they changed the rules to playing defense because of the way she hits. Is that true?
It's a bit of a stretch.
All right. Well, she likes to say a lot of things. So,
it could have been for safety reasons.
I'm
yeah.
sure it was.
Blows to the head. Yeah,
Not that
comes
that
to
stopped anytime soon, but
John Lynch style hitting right there.
Yep.
Yeah, no, she was a beast. Anybody that got a chance to watch her play the first 3 years, she had every nickname. And she would just attack. She would be just one of these like koala bears that just jump up. And
that's a new nickname.
is that right? But koalas are soft and cuddly, right? They're not really. What am I thinking?
She had
Was it
Honey Badger.
Honey Badger.
There was
That's
Flash Gorman.
it. Flash Gorman.
And there's another one that is eluding me
Flash
right now.
Gorman
but-
never stuck. I really like that
I like
one.
that one a
It
lot.
never stuck. That was mine. Rockstar stuck. Ferrari stuck. I've had some good ones through the years. Flash
F-150.
Gorman just never took.
F-150, yeah.
F-150's kind of making its
Yeah.
way up a little bit. So let's talk about scores here. I'm going to abstain from scoring because I'm getting a lot of fan email saying that I shouldn't be giving the scores, and that makes sense. So I'm going to abstain from giving scores the rest of the year and the rest of my career here. So let's go to you guys. and you guys give a score.
You get
on
in
this
trouble, I
weekend.
get in trouble every game day for a score.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say my score. You know, I want to see Seattle win this game just as much as I want to see Chicago
Now,
get
why
their
would
third.
you? Why would you want to see Seattle win? Oh, you didn't finish.
You
were gonna
didn't
say
let me
something.
finish. But I
This
don't
is
see
why relationships don't work with me.
Wow.
I have a tough time listening to
Listening
people.
skills.
Listening skills. I got to work.
Guys,
on
it doesn't really matter. It's women that you got to worry about. But anyway, I think that
Coming
this
from a
is,
single man.
Oh my.
Go ahead.
All right, let me finish. Here we go. So, I think this is the only time Michelson will have a chance with a team of this caliber to actually get to the Legends Cup. You know, or win the Legends Cup, I should say. If he doesn't do it now, will he ever do it? I don't think so. You know.
Yeah, I don't see this kind of group. I don't know if you could stay together for a second season,
Right.
Because it's a lot of work to come to the, cross the country,
Have the
like
imports
a
they
Teresa
have.
Petrozzulo and all the rest, and KK Matheny, your franchise quarterback. Will you find another one in the offseason if she doesn't return?
Jenna
so yeah,
Weiss.
I think this is, this is the best shot Seattle's going to have in quite some time.
Yeah, and so I wasn't going to say I'm picking Seattle,
Right.
but I would like to see them win for that reason. Now,
Score
is going to be Chicago 28, Seattle 22. Pretty close to the Western Conference game. That's what I'm going with.
I like that. All right, so you've got Chicago winning the Legends Cup.
I do.
28-22, hoisting their third of these bad boys right here, huh?
Yep.
Now this one's, fans, hopefully you get some photos of this bad boy, of the team, Sunday night. There's a pretty good opening in the center of this thing for a little bit of
Well,
drinking.
I like it. It's also got like a hop on the top of it, you know?
I mean, it's so like statuesque that I don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of beer that you could pour in the middle of that thing. Let's go ahead. Give us a score here, Mr. Colton.
Yeah, I'm going to go, I bet against Seattle last week, but I'm going to say 27-22 Seattle. And Seattle will get their first Legends Cup and, put their name up on the list of
So we
Legends
are
Cup
split.
winners.
So pretty
We're
much the
split.
exact opposite score.
We
yeah.
are
27,
split on
22.
the stage. We've got Chicago, Colton thinking Chicago's going to win 28-22.
Connor saying
Colton,
That's
Connor.
Well, see, you can
too
never
many
remember
C's
this,
over here.
so-
Colton, Connor, Casey.
And then Colton's got 27-22. Colton.
That's right.
27-22. And he's got Seattle winning. So clearly we have no idea who's going to win this game.
Our writer, John Davis, he says 34-21 Chicago. So we've got
That's
a couple.
what I originally said to Colton this morning, but I didn't
31
want to get too high.
34-21 Chicago.
It's going
That's
to be a
our
big
writer.
offensive game.
Yeah, that's what you want the Legends Cup. You don't want a perennial favorite that everybody's picking. This is split down the middle. These two teams played to a tie for a reason last year. The only reason I would give the slight edge to Chicago or Seattle this one, without giving you a score, is that Seattle's team that's not this team or as good as this team played them to a tie in Chicago last year.
In Chicago.
So that's why, if anything, I would give an edge to Seattle. But I've also seen what Chicago is capable of when they're cranking on all cylinders, like last week.
And they were last
if
week.
Heather Furr plays the way she's played against Omaha, and then plays like she did in the Eastern Conference Championship, that team is unbeatable.
Yeah.
I don't care who you line up. If they develop a passing game, this team could easily reel off another 2-3 championships beyond this one if they keep that nucleus. But that's it, guys. That's our first segment here. A lot to get through in this show. When we come back, we're going to actually sit down with the Seattle Mist.
We're going to eat all this food first.
We're gonna dig into that food a bit. We've got Chris Michelson, head coach, and we've got Danica Brace, league MVP, defensive player of the year nominee. When we come back, Commissioner's Corner, 8th Man Radio from Salties on Alki Beach in Seattle.
Champion Gloves, the custom and official on-field glove of LFL athletes.
All right, guys, we are back. Commissioner's Corner, 8th Man Radio, a special on-site edition here in Seattle, Washington. We are on-site at Salties on Alki Beach. I said that correct, right, Coach?
That's correct.
All right. You guys will recognize a couple of the faces we have here up on stage. To my right, Chris Michelson, head coach of the Seattle Mist. To my left, Danica Brace, Defensive Player of the Year nominee, as well as League MVP nominee. That's some heavy brass, young lady.
Yeah, well, we'll see what comes of it.
Speaking of brass, It's a nice little centerpiece we got there, huh?
Oh yeah, we want to be holding that on Sunday for sure.
So let's talk about how we're going to get you guys to there on Sunday holding this piece of brass. Let's step back here a second and talk about the season. Coach, this is your 6th season, was your 6th season coming to an end, and you've never really been, what's the saying? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, right? Although you'd look good in a dress. I mean, your legs, you've been working out. Talk to us about being the bride now.
Well, I mean, we've worked hard to get here to this point, and we've done everything we need to do to get here. Now it's just a matter of capitalizing and finishing what we started. All the other seasons, we've had opportunities, and this game is so fast and so quick that you might make 1 or 2 mistakes, and it literally is the difference between your season being a champion or watching. And that's what happened 2 years ago in Chicago. We made too many mistakes, and they capitalized, and we were watching the Legends Cup championship game. Same thing last year. So this year we have a chance. We have an opportunity. I've told the girls, seize the moment and capture it and enjoy it and celebrate at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Awesome. So now let's talk about the tactical side of this game a little bit. The last time you guys matched up, from my trusty producer there, Colton Cole, he said that you guys played a tied game in Chicago, 31-31. That's got to give you a bit of confidence, knowing that not only were you stepped toe-to-toe with them, but you had Marianne Hansen, who is a great quarterback, but you could argue there's a tremendous upgrade at the quarterback position with KK Matheny. And then you've got heavy hitters like Danica Brace and Teresa Petrozzullo. You didn't have this kind of armor going into Chicago, and you still played them toe-to-toe. So that's got to give you guys a little bit of confidence.
No, absolutely, and we've definitely went into that this week with game film and prepping the players, and a lot of veteran leadership on this team too, and that's a big difference from last year. Marianne, great quarterback. Angela, all those pieces were, probably could have catapulted us to a win. But this year, with the experience and the the amount of veterans on there that haven't tasted a championship, I think you're going to see quite the hunger this Sunday.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now let's talk to Danica Brace here for a second. Sorry, I got my back turned to you and everything. First off, let's turn around. Let's enjoy the scenery here at Salty's a bit. Can you point out your favorite drinking spots here on the skyline? Go ahead, start.
I haven't had
pointing them out.
alcohol in so long. I've been in season, so this is the only alcohol I've been close to.
Yeah, and these are props, by the way. Are we going to get to drink these, Colton? We can drink them. Excellent.
You can have mine.
Talk to us about this infusion of talent this year, because it looks like you guys. I mean, this is an all-star team. And you're up against practically an all-star team in Chicago. So first off, how did all of these girls come to be as one and come in under one mission to win a championship? That's a lot of coordination.
I think where everybody is just at in their own careers, I think everyone's so hungry and ready for it that when the opportunity came up and you started seeing, a couple of us, obviously KK and I, when we were in Australia together, that's where that bond was formed. And then when Coach Michelson offered the opportunity, I knew I was moving back home to Seattle. Wasn't sure if I was going to continue to play, but there was no better way to do it than finish with a coach that, taught me this game and really made me love football in 2009. And then with one of my best friends. And so after that dynamic kind of got in there with KK, myself, and Chris, then, old players from Tampa still wanted to be affiliated with KK because they enjoyed playing with her. And they saw what we had. They saw the leadership. They saw the other veterans. And I'm sure, like myself, I felt the hunger from these other people, and I knew it was our actual real shot at making it to a championship game, let alone winning one.
Yeah, so, look, you guys, LA was a tough-fought game, came down to the end as everybody expected. And I remember, just because I'm obviously buried in the cameras in the director's village there, but I've never cringed when I saw KK running around at that last pass. I closed my eyes because I couldn't watch, and the ball was up in the air, and I turned away, and the guy sitting next to me goes, "What are you doing? I haven't seen you do that all year." And then I turn around and open my eyes. Danica Brace is doing the best she can to do her Usain Bolt impression, but it's not really Usain Bolt. It really felt like it was almost in slow motion, but she made it across. So what was that feeling like to know that you're literally yards away from potentially the Legends Cup?
I will tell you, the one thing that went through my head was I just had to keep picking up my knees, keep my feet moving, because if someone tries to trip me up from behind.
Yeah, because it felt like you had anchors on both feet.
Anchors, because I'm 170 pounds at 5'8". It's kind of like towing a lot of weight. No, but that's one thing I worked on too, and this whole offseason was my speed and change of direction. But yeah, I mean, I knew, and Coach talks about this all the time in practice and in film. It's like, how bad do you want it? Can you smell that end zone? Like, are you gonna dive out and reach that ball across the plane? Which I did to the best of my abilities. I knew I was free, but I mean, I was nervous, but I knew it was 100%. It was that opportunity, and when your name gets called, you got to step up to the plate.
Absolutely. So let's quickly wrap this up by talking about the tactical approach against Chicago here. There's no. We know Chicago. They've won 2 championships in a row. Obviously, we've watched all their games. We know who the heavy hitters are. From an offensive perspective, and then we'll talk to Danica from a defensive perspective, but from an offensive perspective, Coach, how do you attack that Chicago defense?
Well, I mean, you got to contain that front line. I mean, their front three are unbelievable, and they play well together, and they seem to have each other down, and their timing's right. So if KK can just be patient, yet be expedient at times in the pocket, and watch Heather Furr at that rover position, because she plays it arguably better than anybody. I mean, she's really, really smart and knowledgeable of the game, especially playing quarterback, so you really can see an offense. If we can control those 3 factors or 4 factors with the front 3 and Heather, obviously Allie Alberts in the back watching over, we're going to be okay. The nice thing is if we get in a pickle with the amount of different sets that we have on offense, I think we can adjust to the game as it comes, opposed to just playing our game and hoping it works. I can adjust throughout the entire game and make those proper adjustments based on their defense and what they throw at us. And with KK at the helm, I'm confident she's going to be able to make the adjustments smooth and without an issue. So if we play our game, I think we'll be okay.
So now let's talk about the one phase of the game that everybody's talking about, that a lot of people will say will determine the outcome of this year's Legends Cup, and that's going to be Chicago's offense versus Seattle's defense.
Right.
And I remember talking to Coach Dane going into the Eastern Conference Championship as to how are you going to defend against it, and he said he was going to attack, but watching the game film, he kind of played in this amoeba defense where everybody fell back, which is tough because I've always said, you're giving them a 3-yard cushion, the offense. And then you've got a Christelle Ferrari-Harris that's going to be picking up a head of steam. So technically, she's got about 6-7 yards before she makes contact with anybody. That's tough to contain. So how are you guys going to play it differently from Atlanta? Because Atlanta just got rolled up on.
I mean, that's exactly it right there. Watching film, watching Atlanta take their first step back, as any linebacker or any line should be stepping forward, taking away space, because that's how the game is won. Take away space from them, you're not going to do anything with it. And our defensive ends really, really need to come in and put the pressure on her and collapse that pocket, because, yes, Furr is capable of, scrambling out of the pocket and making a play out of nothing, of a broken down play. But to be honest with you, obviously Christelle is their offense. And so for us, just being able to contain her before she gets that 6-7 yard head start, obviously having a Mike and a Rover in those 2 gaps and really coming down and filling the gap, not allowing her to get that head start and just collapsing down in on them and corralling her in that backfield. They run a lot of different plays out of the same set. So it really comes down to being just more aggressive and wanting it more, just really attacking the minute that ball is snapped, and also being smart, watching the ball. And we had a couple of penalties this last game where we were ready to jump on it. Yeah. So
there's more laundry there than, well, I won't finish that sentence. I was going to say something crass, but I decided to censor myself, Coach. So that's the attack. You're going to attack the offense. That's the consensus, it seems like, with Seattle. That's how you're going to contain them. Well, you got your work cut out for you. Chicago coming in. Heather Furr, you could say what you will about her challenges throwing the ball, but more recently she's had some success against Omaha. She really opened it up against Atlanta last week, and Atlanta's not a hack in the secondary. They have some decent people, so definitely your work cut out for you, Coach and Danica, but we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
We realize this is kind of a culmination for both of you in your LFL journeys, that, not only have you not been here, you're doing it in your own city, and an opportunity to do it in front of your own friends and family, and that's got to be special. So best of luck on Sunday, and hopefully you're celebrating a championship Sunday night.
Thank you.
That's the goal.
All right, guys, thanks for being on, and we're going to wrap up the show next with kind of like a UN of the NFL, LFL. We've got members from the UK here. You guys might have been listening to them this season. Ball Hawk Nest, am I saying that correctly? Audrey and Marcus sitting in the corner without a beer, which seems like a sin. You guys are British, man. How come we got the beers here? And then next to him, speaking of beer, we've got a couple representatives from Australia making their long journey. Coach Daryl Scuff and I believe one of his assistants from the Adelaide Arsenal. So we come back, we're going to talk to them about talk to them a bit and talk Chicago Bliss football when we come back. Commissioner's Corner, 8th Man Radio, special edition from Seattle.
Like your favorite LFL players and teams and receive breaking news stories. The LFL's official Facebook page, facebook.com/mylfl.
All right, guys, we are back. Commissioner's Corner, 8th Man Radio here at Salty's, beautiful Salty's on Alki Beach. If you're in Seattle, you got to check it out. The food is amazing. They've got IPA beers. And look at the scenery behind us, guys. We got the Space Needle. We've got the skyline. We've got the Seahawks Stadium just over the shoulder there. And roping it back here to the States, and 4 gentlemen that made a very long journey to be part of the Legends Cup weekend festivities. To my left is Marcus and Audrey from Ball Hawks Nest. They came on board, correct me if I'm wrong, a little earlier this year.
That's correct, yeah.
Yep. Giving us editorial coverage at LFL Talk. I know the fans love that. I've had a chance to listen to a few of the shows. And then on to my right, we've got a pair of our LFL Australia coaches. We've got Daryl Scuff and Peter Montgomery of the Adelaide Arsenal. So we'll talk to you guys in a second, but let's start with the good old UK here. So this is a new thing for you guys. So what's it like to kind of learn the sport? You know, because it was on TV in the UK. We're about to bring it to a bigger network. Is that where this started, or how did you find out about the LFL?
First started a few years ago. I caught some clips on YouTube. And then the clips I saw on YouTube, I just got hooked and introduced Marcus to it, because we're big NFL fans anyway, so it kind of seemed a good alternative for the off-season to have the NFL bridge that gap between April and September.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of football addicts that are resulting to that now. Absolutely. And talk to us about some of the personalities. Like, who are some of your favorite personalities that you guys have gravitated toward these past few months?
Well, I'd have to say one of the big ones is Rockstar. Rockstar, Heather Furr, she's been brilliant. You've met her, haven't you, already?
I have, yeah. She's been fantastic for the show as well.
Okay, so Rockstar Fur. Anybody else that you guys kind of liked having on the show, maybe?
KK was a fantastic guest when we had her on the show, and Danica as well.
So are you guys typical British guys doing a show? Are you guys getting lit every time before you do the show? Or
we try not to.
Any local pubs doing a lot of business? No,
no, not as yet.
Not as much.
And who are your favorite NFL teams here?
I'm a Bills fan myself.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I'm a Rams fan myself.
We're a collection of losers. See, I'm a Redskins fan, so what does that say for all of us? So let's talk a little Australia here. You know, 2013 was an amazing debut of the sport there.
Yes.
If anybody that was a part of that season saw it and come to fruition, we had some problems obviously developing the second season, and we couldn't do it. And now we're really on the cusp of building something new there.
That's right, the
Coach
academy.
Scaff. So talk to us about what the new mindset is and the direction in Australia.
Absolutely. First, I have to congratulate you on your skills in deciphering what those guys said, because I couldn't understand anything that saying. That accent's were too bad. What we're building in the academy in Australia is we are going to start an academy program very, very similar to the AFL, where they bring in skilled players from different sports. They educate them and teach them the sport. We get their fundamental skill set down to be prime athletes. We look over a good year and a half. Their fitness, their skill set. Have specialists like Coach Pete, who's a specialist in skills and catching. And we're developing the LFL hybrid player. Hopefully, we'll see some of them be so good that the Americans will want to draft. And being the commissioner, we can have a draft and announce who gets drafted worldwide. Then we come back with these excellent players and we restructure and rebuild Australia, because there's still all kinds of excitement there for us. A lot of fans, they keep following us and they keep asking about when we're coming back. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's I get that question. I think almost as much as any other question is what's the plans for Australia and coming back, and Europe, and what we're going to do in Europe. So, we announced a few months ago that we're going to put the attention through 2017 on the U.S. season, on the U.S. product, to make sure that we have the best athletes, the best coaches, that we expand into more markets. The goal here ultimately is 26 markets. We obviously have a long ways to go here. But by 2017, the next couple years, we firmly will have an LFL Academy in the UK, actually based in Manchester. And then we'll have one in Australia as well. And the idea is to develop the talent, develop the coaches. So when we go back, we're not so uncertain for a product. that
Perfect.
these are women that have actually been developed for a couple years. You know, these are coaches that know the culture of the LFL, and we're not going to have the issues we did in Australia. I think that was something we learned that, look, you've got to have loyal people, you've got to have focused people,
Absolutely.
and people that are big picture people, and that's the only way the sport's going to grow. So, you know, live and learn. Look, we're in our infancy. We're only 6 years into this as a product. We're going to make mistakes and hopefully learn from them. So, you know, the thing I think excites me more than anything being where I am is that we're touching so many lives, not just here in the States, but in the UK, in Australia, and other parts of the world that we're talking to that, you know, they would fly out here and be part of these festivities, I think speaks for themselves. And I thank you, gentlemen, for making the trip.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll share a few pints this weekend
Absolutely.
and do it the right way.
Sounds like the plan.
Talk to us briefly. Give us a score on this weekend's game. We'll start with Peter. What do you give us a score on the Chicago-Seattle game?
Oh, score. Let's say 20 to 18.
Who do you have winning?
Oh, I want Seattle to win.
All right, Peter's got the Seattle Mist 20-18. Coach Scaff, what do you got?
Well, I'm meeting both coaches to get their game plans.
Okay, so you're a more educated guess.
Educated
all right?
guess. So my educated guess is I have no idea, and
No
I
idea.
refuse to
That's,
predict.
that's
anything.
really educated. That's why I stopped giving the score. I'm like 0-16, so I won't even give a score. Marcus?
I think it's going to be very offensive, so I think Seattle 32, Chicago 28.
Wow, two Seattles, 32-28. Marcus for Seattle. Audrey?
And on the show, I think I went with 21-18 to Seattle. It's going to be a very close game, I think.
Sweep Seattle. I didn't
Wow.
expect that.
No.
3-0. Two people abstained from scoring,
The
and
educated one?
so interesting scores. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be an offensive show. You know, as good a defense as they both have. Ultimately, I think Rockstar Fur is finally peaking at the right time. You know, some of the bad press she's gotten, I think has really motivated her to become a better quarterback. Christelle Ferrari Harris, and then KK Matheny. You know, I love the way Bren Renda's coming on. They haven't even tapped into Teresa Petrozulo at the wide receiver position. We might see some of that at the Legends Cup. So, God, it's going to be an exciting game. You know,
it will be.
3 incredible games to end our season.
Yeah.
And Sunday, I fully expect everybody to be totally shit-faced. All right, if you're going to make that trip, if you're not drunk,
That's
I'll be
right.
very disappointed. And that is going to do it for us here at Salty's on Alki Beach in Seattle. Thank you for hosting us again. And we will see you guys Sunday afternoon here in Seattle, Washington for the 2015 Legends Cup. Take care.